Have you ever looked at your family, your friends, or even the world around you and felt like you're just in the way? Like maybe life is moving on, and somehow you've become a quiet background character instead of the main one you used to be? If you've ever caught yourself thinking, I don't want to bother anyone, or they'd be better off without my problems, you're not alone. That quiet, painful feeling of being a burden creeps in slowly. It's not always loud. Sometimes, it's just a whisper that shows up when you ask for help, or when you see your kids juggling work, parenting, and life, and you feel guilty for needing support. But here's something I want you to know: feeling like a burden is a lie our mind tells us when it forgets our worth. And today, we're going to gently challenge that lie together. I know this topic can be hard. It's not easy to talk about. But the truth is, more and more people over 60 are silently struggling with this exact feeling, and it's time we talked about it openly, kindly, and honestly. Because you still matter. Your presence, your wisdom, your voice, they all matter more than you think. In this video, we're going to explore 4 powerful mindset shifts that can help you stop feeling like a burden and start seeing your life with fresh, meaningful eyes. These aren't just fluffy ideas, they're practical, down-to-earth shifts you can begin using today to lighten that emotional weight and reconnect with your purpose, your strength, and your place in this world. Before we dive in, if this message already speaks to you in some way, could you please help me out with one small thing? Just give this video a like, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel. I'm working hard to reach my first 1,000 subscribers so I can keep bringing more thoughtful, uplifting content just for you. Your support truly means the world. Alright, let's begin, gently. Let's breathe for a moment. You're here, and that's already enough. Let's start with the first shift, understanding the difference between being a burden and being human. See, we live in a culture that glorifies independence. The more you can do on your own, the more praise you get. But here's the truth most people don't talk about: everyone needs help sometimes. Whether you're 25 or 85, needing support doesn't mean you're weak or in the way. It means you're human. That's it. Full stop. Think about when your grandchild falls and runs to you for comfort. Do you ever feel like they're a burden when they need you? Of course not. You feel honored to be the one they turn to. You hold them close. You whisper comfort. You remind them they're safe. That's what love does. And guess what? That's how the people who love you feel when you reach out to them. But here's the tricky part: many of us were raised to push down our own needs, to keep quiet, to be strong for everyone else. And while that served a purpose back then, holding on to that belief now can quietly harm your sense of self. It builds walls instead of bridges. And over time, those walls make you feel more alone than you really are. So let's start with this gentle reminder: asking for help is not the same as being a burden. It's actually an act of connection. It's an invitation for someone to care for you, just like you've cared for others your whole life. Let that sink in. Let it settle into your chest like a warm cup of tea on a chilly morning. The second mindset shift is this: you are still contributing, just in different ways than before. One of the biggest reasons people over 60 start to feel invisible is because the roles they once had, parent, worker, provider, begin to shift. Retirement happens. The house gets quiet. The phone doesn't ring as often. And it's easy to start thinking, what am I even doing anymore? But just because your role has changed doesn't mean your value has disappeared. Let me tell you about a man named Harold. Harold used to be a mechanic. He worked long hours, supported his family, and fixed just about everything that could possibly break. After he retired, he felt lost. He told me, "Nobody needs me to fix things anymore. I just sit around. I feel useless." But when we talked more, I asked him what he does do now. He said he walks his neighbor's dog every morning because she has arthritis. He said he watches his grandson after school once a week and helps him with his model cars. And he listens to his old army buddy, who's going through a rough time, just to keep him company. I looked at Harold and said, "Do you hear yourself? You're still fixing things. Just not with wrenches anymore. You're fixing loneliness. You're fixing hearts." He started crying. Right there. Because for the first time, he realized that his contributions hadn't ended. They'd just changed shape. And maybe yours have too. Maybe now, your gift is your presence. Your stories. Your listening ear. Maybe it's the wisdom you pass on when someone's going through a tough time. Maybe it's the way you remind someone to slow down, breathe, and enjoy a quiet afternoon. Those things matter. They deeply matter. And they're often the very things people remember long after we're gone. If you're feeling like you're no longer doing enough, I invite you to look again. Think about the small, quiet ways you bring comfort or meaning into someone else's day. You might be surprised at how often you're still showing up for the people around you, just in ways the world doesn't always reward or recognize. But that doesn't make them any less powerful. Now that we've begun to untangle those first two beliefs, the lie that needing help makes you a burden, and the idea that your value has faded, we're already starting to see that the problem isn't you. It's the lens we've been taught to see ourselves through. And that lens is dusty. It's outdated. It needs to be cleaned. We've got more to talk about. More healing to do. Let's keep walking this path together. Now that we've begun to dust off that old lens, to see ourselves more clearly, let's talk about the third shift. And this one might surprise you. Your feelings of being a burden often come from the past, not the present. I know that might sound strange at first, but stay with me. See, a lot of the emotional weight we carry after 60 isn't really about what's happening today, it's about the stories we've carried for years. Maybe you were taught, directly or silently, that love had to be earned. That your worth came from doing, not simply being. Maybe you learned to suppress your own needs to take care of everyone else. And now that life has slowed down, and those roles have shifted, you're left with space, and in that space, those old beliefs start bubbling back up. It's like when the house finally gets quiet after years of noise, and suddenly, you hear every creak, every echo. Some of those creaks are past moments, times you felt overlooked, or not enough, or told to toughen up when what you really needed was comfort. And now, when you feel tired, or vulnerable, or in need, those old echoes whisper, "Don't bother them. Handle it yourself. You're too much." But here's the beautiful truth, you're allowed to rewrite those old stories. Just because you were told something once, or even believed it for decades, doesn't mean you have to carry it forever. Beliefs are like clothes. If they don't fit anymore, you're allowed to take them off. And I'll tell you this, the people who truly love you, they don't see you as a burden. They see you as family. As a friend. As a part of their story. When you pull back, thinking you're doing them a favor, you're actually keeping them from showing you love the way you showed it for years. It reminds me of something a woman named Helen once told me. She was 74, lived alone after her husband passed, and she kept canceling lunch with her daughter. She said, she has 2 kids, a full-time job. I don't want to add stress to her life. But when her daughter finally called and said, "Mom, I miss you," Helen broke down. She had thought she was helping by stepping back, but what her daughter really wanted was to feel close. We're not burdens. We're bridges. And sometimes, just being present is the gift. Which leads us to the fourth and most powerful shift, your existence is not a transaction, it's a connection. Think about how much of life is focused on doing. Achieving. Producing. That's fine for a while, but after 60, when the world starts to slow, something deeper starts to matter, presence. The quiet, meaningful connection of just being with someone, without needing to prove anything. When we see ourselves only in terms of what we do, we lose sight of who we are. And who you are is someone with decades of experience, love, memories, wisdom, and most of all, presence. You don't need to do backflips to earn your space in this world. You've earned it 1,000 times over, just by being here. By living. By continuing to wake up and try, even when some days feel harder than others. I once sat with a man named Charles. He was 82 and rarely left his house. He said, "What am I even here for anymore?" And I asked him what he looked forward to each day. He thought for a moment, then said, "Coffee. I sit by the window and watch the squirrels on the fence." I smiled and asked, "And do you smile when you see them?" He nodded. "Do you think that moment matters?" He looked at me puzzled. I said, "If something makes you smile, if it brings even one small piece of joy into the world, isn't that enough for today?" He didn't answer. He just looked out the window. And I saw it hit him. His life didn't need to be big to be meaningful. It already was. Sometimes, the most powerful presence isn't loud. It doesn't come with fanfare or applause. It's the quiet hand you offer a friend. The advice you give your granddaughter when she's heartbroken. The hug you give your son when he's overwhelmed. It's the steady love you show, without needing anything in return. You are not here to earn love. You are here to be loved. And that shift, letting go of the idea that you have to justify your worth, can change everything. And if there are days when you forget this, when those old voices creep in and whisper that you're too much, or not enough, or just in the way, I want you to come back to this video. Come back to this exact moment. And hear me say this. You are enough. Exactly as you are. Not for what you do. Not for what you give. But because you exist. Because your life touches others in ways you may never fully realize. Take a moment, right now, to breathe that in. You're still here. And that means you're still becoming. Still growing. Still worthy of connection, care, and love. And hey, if this message has touched something in your heart, I want to hear from you. Share a comment below. Tell me how you felt, or what this brought up for you. You never know who else might read it and feel seen because of you. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe. When you do, it helps this channel reach more people who feel just like you, and it helps build a space where we can all feel less alone. You've made it this far with me, and I'm so glad you did. Let's keep going, because the journey doesn't stop here. You're still here, and I want you to take a second to appreciate that. Because showing up, even when it's hard, even when the world feels distant or too fast or too confusing, is a quiet act of courage. You being here means you still care about growing, about feeling better, about finding your way toward peace. And that is a beautiful thing. Now, let's talk about something that lives quietly in the corners of so many hearts after 60. It's the idea that needing help is somehow a weakness. That if you ask for support, you're being a bother. That if your body moves a little slower, or your mind forgets a few things, you're less valuable. Let me tell you something, and I want you to hear it with your whole being. Needing help does not make you a burden, it makes you human. There is nothing weak about asking. In fact, it takes far more strength to open up than it does to pretend everything's fine. And the truth is, the people around you? They feel honored when you let them in. When you trust them enough to lean a little. That's what love looks like. It's not just about giving, it's also about receiving. That's a balance so many of us have forgotten. Especially if we spent decades raising families, building careers, being the rock for everyone else. And here's where the next shift happens, you don't always have to be the strong one. You spent your life being the one others could count on. And maybe that gave you purpose. Maybe it helped you feel secure. But now, when your pace changes or your needs shift, that identity starts to wobble. You start to wonder, if I'm not the helper, who am I? You're still you. You're still wise. Still valuable. Still loved. But now, it's time for a new kind of strength, a quieter one. A strength that knows when to say, I could use a hand. A strength that allows others to give back. To love you the way you've always loved them. And I know, accepting help can feel awkward. You might say things like, I don't want to be a bother, or, it's okay, I'll manage. But let me flip that thought on its head. Imagine your best friend, someone you love dearly, was struggling. Would you want them to suffer in silence? Or would you want them to call you? To let you be there for them? The people who love you feel the same. When you let someone help, you're not taking from them, you're giving them a chance to show up. To love you in return. To feel close to you. Let's shift again. This time, we're looking at how we talk to ourselves. You ever notice how we can be so kind to others, but so harsh to ourselves? We tell our friends, you're doing your best, don't be so hard on yourself. But inside, we say things like, I'm useless now. I'm in the way. I should just stay quiet. Where did we learn that kind of talk? Probably over years and years of being taught to minimize our needs. But the truth is, those thoughts aren't facts. They're just habits. And habits can be changed. Every time that voice in your head starts to say, I'm a burden, I want you to pause. And say this instead, I am loved. I matter. My presence brings comfort and connection. Even if you don't fully believe it yet. Say it anyway. Say it until it becomes your new habit. You've given so much in this life. Raised kids. Showed up for friends. Pushed through hard days. Loved through heartbreak. Laughed through tears. Those things don't go away just because your body has changed. Your value isn't tied to your pace. It's tied to your soul. And your soul? It's radiant. It's still unfolding. It's still needed. I want to invite you to try something small this week. A little exercise, just between you and you. Each morning, before the noise of the day creeps in, place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. And whisper, I am not a burden. I am a blessing. Try it for 7 days. Just that. Watch what shifts inside you. Because when you start treating yourself like someone who matters, the world around you begins to shift too. You'll walk with more ease. Speak with more confidence. Smile a little more often. Because something inside you will finally know, I belong. I am worthy. And I have nothing to prove. Let's come full circle now. You are not here by accident. You're not a leftover from a busy world that's moved on. You are still part of this world. Your presence, your memories, your warmth, they still ripple outward in ways you can't always see. You're not taking up space. You are the space. The gathering place. The wisdom keeper. The heart of many people's stories. And if you've ever felt like you've lost your purpose, maybe it's not lost at all. Maybe it's just shifting. Maybe your purpose now is simply to be, to listen, to love, to rest, to reflect, to share stories. And let me tell you, that purpose is more than enough. You've survived things that could have broken you. You've faced losses, changes, aches, inside and out. And yet, you're still here. Still trying. Still showing up. That is not the mark of a burden. That is the mark of someone extraordinary. So, if no one's told you today, thank you for being here. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for your quiet strength, your soft heart, your willingness to grow even now. You matter more than you know. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever felt like a burden? How have you dealt with that feeling? Leave a comment. Share your story. Your words might help someone else feel seen, and that's a gift no one else can give quite like you. And if you found this video comforting, or even just made you feel a little lighter, please hit that like button. Share it with someone you care about. And subscribe, so we can keep building a community that reminds us all, we're not alone. Not now. Not ever. This life isn't about proving you're useful. It's about remembering that you already are. You're not a burden. You're a blessing. And this world is better because you're in it. I'm so glad you're still here. That says something about you, about your heart, your hope, your willingness to keep growing even when it's uncomfortable. Because healing, especially at this stage in life, isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it's quiet. Sometimes, it's just sitting with a new truth long enough to let it soften the old ones. And today, maybe you've already started to do that. Let's talk about one more shift, one that may take a little time to really sink in, but when it does, it can change the way you move through each day. It's the mindset that you are still creating value, even when it doesn't look the way it used to. See, so many people after 60 look back and measure their worth by what they did. The job they held. The money they made. The kids they raised. The people they helped. And all of that matters. Deeply. But here's what we forget, just because you're not clocking in, or running errands for everyone, or hosting every holiday dinner anymore, doesn't mean you've stopped giving. You're still contributing, through your presence, your perspective, your listening ear, your gentle wisdom. The world doesn't only need people to do things. It needs people who can just be, calm, grounded, wise. You are that kind of person now. Sometimes your greatest gift is your attention. Your ability to sit with someone, really hear them, and not rush to fix anything. That alone is rare. And powerful. And needed. And I know, society doesn't always honor that. We're surrounded by fast-paced, youth-driven messages that say you need to be busy, productive, useful to matter. But those messages are narrow. They miss the truth. And the truth is, your value is not tied to your output. It's tied to your being. I remember a woman I met once at a small community gathering. She was in her 70s. Quiet, kind, always watching, rarely speaking. But when she did speak, people stopped and listened. Because her words came with weight. She didn't need to say much. She'd lived it. And that gave her a kind of quiet authority that made the rest of us feel calm. Seen. Held. You have that too. You may not realize it, but the way you carry yourself, your calm presence, your steady hands, your lived experience, it brings something into the room. Something no one under 30, or even 50, can replicate. It's not flashy. But it's real. And real always matters more. So maybe you don't drive as much now. Maybe you need help with your phone, or take a little longer to finish something. But that doesn't take anything away from your worth. In fact, it adds to it. Because now you know something younger people don't, how to slow down. How to find peace in stillness. How to survive change and stay kind. And let me tell you, there are younger folks out there who need you. Not because you have something to give them materially, but because your existence is proof that life keeps unfolding. That it's okay to change. That even after losses, there's still laughter. Still beauty. Still mornings that surprise you. Still music that moves you. You're not just here, you're a bridge. Between the past and the future. Between what was and what's still possible. So maybe today's the day you stop apologizing for your age. For needing more rest. For not remembering every detail. For taking up space. You've earned your space. You've earned your rest. You've earned the right to be here without explaining yourself. And more than that, you're invited to be here. The world needs people like you. People who remind us that wisdom isn't loud. That love doesn't always come in grand gestures. That presence, just being with someone, is often enough. I want to leave you with this thought. You may have days when the voice inside your head gets loud again. telling you you're a burden. That you're in the way. That you've outlived your usefulness. When that happens, I want you to imagine someone you love dearly, a grandchild, a friend, maybe even your younger self, coming to you and saying those same things. Would you nod in agreement? Of course not. You'd say, that's not true. You matter. You're doing your best. I'm so glad you're here. So now, say it to yourself. Say it today. Say it tomorrow. Say it again until it starts to feel like the truth. Because it is the truth. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to feel a little lighter. A little more free. A little more you. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you. Not just for watching, but for being brave enough to look at something this tender. That takes courage. And heart. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What spoke to you? Was there a line that stayed with you, or a shift you're hoping to make in your own life? Sharing your voice can help others feel less alone, and that's a gift we all need. If this video helped you, even just a little, please give it a like. Share it with someone you care about. And if you haven't already, subscribe. I'd love for you to be part of this growing circle of people who are rewriting what aging looks and feels like. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. A teacher. A light. And I hope you carry that truth with you today and every day. Here's to living your best life, at any age. I'll see you soon.